Pre-Islamic Arabia was mostly a nomadic society. These tribes placed heavy emphasis on kin-related groups and families, and would roam through the deserts with their livestock, mainly comprising of sheep, goats and camels, living in tents with their immediate family members. The number of women a man could marry was not fixed. When a man died, his son inherited all his wives except his own mother. Under the circumstances of lack of centralized states, with rare exceptions, there were no written laws, courts or law enforcement of any kind to protect the population. Mecca was practically ruled by the skilled merchants of the Quraysh tribe that took control of the city sometime in the 5th century, while Yathrib, which was later named Medina, was dominated by the Arab tribes of Aus and Khazraj, and the Jewish tribes Natir, Kenuka and Qurayza. The most important cities of the Arabian Peninsula, Mecca and Yathrib, were situated in Hijaz, a region with sufficient water supply, which made it a logical choice for a sedentary lifestyle in the otherwise punishing climate and terrain of Arabia. Mecca was an important trade center in the region, a place through which caravans would flow, as well as the location of the Kaaba, a sacred place in Islam, which was also sacred in polytheistic Arabia, where the statues of idols and gods of different Arabic tribes were placed. As the home of the Kaaba, Mecca also carried a religious significance for the polytheistic Arabs, as once a year, Arabs from all over Arabia would make a pilgrimage to Kaaba and drink from the sacred Zamzam well. Another important city of Arabia was Yathrib, Medina. It was an agricultural center, also situated in a fertile region of Hijaz, which allowed the city to become an important transit point for trade caravans traveling along the Red Sea. Initially, Yathrib was dominated by Jewish tribes, but gradually several Arabic tribes moved to Yathrib and gained political and economic influence in the city too. While Arabs were mainly engaged in agriculture, Jews would also be active as businessmen. The rise of cities was inevitably going to lead to the rise of commerce too, and the rise of commerce was inevitably going to lead to usury, a practice which was used by both the Arabs and Jews. This practice would be later prohibited by Islam. Trading and political relations with the Byzantine Empire, Ethiopia, Persia, and other neighboring forces had a role in shaping the religious landscape of Arabia too. As early as the 1st century AD, Arab traders brought Christianity to Arabia. Others were evangelized by Paul's ministry in Arabia and by St. Thomas, followed by a strong influence from the Byzantine Empire. Nestorian Christianity was strong in parts of the country, but the most popular denomination was monophysitism. Judaism was also a significant part of the religious landscape of Arabia. As a result of Roman persecution, the migration of Jewish people to Arabia started as early as the 1st century AD. Many Jews found homes in Hijaz and towns like Yathrib, Khaybar, Fadak, and al-Qura. Many Arabs also converted to Judaism, as often it was a condition of settling in Jewish-dominated towns of Hijaz. The Yemeni Himyarite Kingdom converted to Judaism in the 4th century, and some of the Kindah, a tribe in Central Arabia who were the Himyarites' vassals, were also converted by the 5th century. According to the Arab classical writers, Arabs divided themselves into the Yemenites, the South Arabs descended from Qattan, and the North Arabs descended from Adnan. It is interesting that these two groups had certain distinctions, and the existence of statehood and political systems were among them. South Arabia, Yemen, had more established states, and all of them were ruled as monarchies. In the north, loose tribal confederations or de facto city-states like Mecca were a more prevalent form of statehood. Such states were ruled as oligarchies and aristocracies. The south was considered more advanced, as it was the key route of trade in Arabia, prior to the emergence of Mecca as an alternative, and had a higher degree of contact with outsiders such as Ethiopians. From the 4th century onwards, a reverse process started, as many southern tribes migrated to the north and underwent northern influence. The South Arabian script vanished, and North Arabian proliferated in Arabia. The Thamud tribe, or tribal union, was one of the first recorded states in Arabia, which was a prominent force in northwestern Arabia according to the Assyrian sources related to the 8th century BC, and were later used as auxiliary forces by the Roman Empire according to the Roman sources. In the 3rd century BC, the Greek scholar Eratosthenes mentioned Manaeans, Sabaeans, Katabanians, and Hadramites as the main people inhabiting the Arabian Peninsula. Historians mention the independent Sabaean kingdom situated in present-day Yemen, which was later conquered by the Himyarite Kingdom around 280 AD. The Himyarite Kingdom was one of the most prominent pre-Islamic states of the Arabian Peninsula. It was ruled by a monarch, but in practice, the power of the state was shared with regional governors, which had a high degree of autonomy, a system akin to medieval-era European kingdoms. By the early 4th century AD, the Himyarite Kingdom ruled over southern Arabia and expanded north to Najran. Originally polytheistic Himyarites became monotheistic sometime in the 4th century with a belief in the Abrahamic God. At the end of the 5th century, the Himyarite king Abu Kariba adopted Judaism as his faith. His son and successor Yusuf Dunuwas was even more zealous, as he started persecuting Christians living in the kingdom. This proved to be the undoing of the Himyarite dynasty, as Dunuwas was either killed or committed suicide after being defeated by the Christian coalition of the Ethiopian Kingdom of Aksum, the Byzantine Empire, and South Arabian Christians in 524. Christian Ethiopians then took control of South Arabia, built a church in Sana in an attempt to attract pilgrims, and hence trade to Sana in place of Mecca. This caused a conflict between Abraha, the Ethiopian viceroy in Yemen, and Mecca, mentioned in the Quran. Apparently, Abraha used war elephants against Mecca, but was unsuccessful and had to turn back. Another prominent pre-Islamic state organization in Arabia was the Kindah Kingdom, the first state in Central Arabia recorded by history, which came to existence after the Kindah tribe managed to unite all tribes in Najd around the late 5th century. The Kindah Kingdom attempted a number of successful raids on Byzantine territories in North Arabia, but similar endeavors against the Sassanid Empire failed. The Arab world is mostly identified with Islam, and for good reason. Islam was a catalyst of the biggest expansion of the Arabic people in history. It paved the way for the establishment of arguably the most powerful empire of its time, the Islamic Caliphate, which at its zenith ranged from Spain and North Africa in the west to Central Asia and the Indian subcontinent in the east. What religion did the Arabs practice before the rise of Islam? Religion in pre-Islamic Arabia was a mix of polytheism, Christianity, Judaism, and Iranian religions. Arab polytheism, or paganism, was the most popular belief system. Each tribe, city, and region could have its own god or idol, which was in a way a patron of that particular community. Arabs also believed in supernatural beings like jinns. Statues of gods and goddesses would be placed in Kaaba, and some scholars argue that Allah, the deity of Islam and other Abrahamic religions, also had a statue in Kaaba. There are hadiths, the authenticity of which is disputed, claiming that Kaaba also had an image of the Virgin Mary and baby Jesus, with Abraham looking over them. Overall, it is estimated that Kaaba contained up to 360 such statues and images.